Okay, so this is to carry on your Alice in Wonderland set design work. There's going to be two options for you to choose from. A concertina sketchbook style design, which is on the screen now, and then also a pop-up set design kind of card. So you can either have go at both if you want to, or choose one of them to practice. So I'm going to start off by showing you the concertina sketchbook. So you're going to need a piece of A4 paper, which you're going to fold in half lengthways, and I'm going to actually rip this to cut it in half, but you can use scissors if you want to. So you're going to fold it in half lengthways back and forth like that. Make sure you push down on the seam to get a really nice crisp edge, and then just gently tear it and it should come apart. You will get some little fuzzy edges which you can trim with scissors if you want to. You're then going to fold it in half as shown on the video, and you're then going to fold it in half again. And when you open it up, you're going to have 4 equal rectangular sections, like so. Okay, and we're just going to repeat the same process. You're going to fold that piece of paper in half, and then in half again. So you want to fold it back to front, so when you open it up, the concertina, it folds nicely like so. And then you're going to want to glue them together. So you're going to use a glue stick, you could use some PVA glue, blue tack, whatever you have at home, tape even, you can roll tape onto itself and tape that together. And then just make sure you line up the edges to create your book. And it's ready to draw. Okay, you can make these as long as you want to, or even as big as you want to. Now the next one is the staggered set design. So I've taken ideas from my mind map from an earlier cycle. And so again, you're going to need a piece of A4 paper. So card works best, okay, or just thick paper. And you're going to fold it in half like so. And then you're going to fold each edge backwards to the middle. So you end up with a nice long thin piece of card. Okay, like a concertina, like we just did, but a little bit bigger. Okay, and it's going to show 4 stages. The idea behind this and the kind of the written explanation is in the PowerPoint for your cycle of work. So now I'm just going to gently draw a line across diagonally along my concertina, just so I know how tall I need to make each stage of the set, okay, because you want things to overlap, but you don't necessarily want them to overtake each other. So just to make sure they match up nicely, what I've done is I've just taken some key components from Alice in Wonderland story. So the pink and purple spiral from the Cheshire Cat, the watch to tell Alice that she's running late, one of the colourful mushrooms from when she meets the caterpillar, and then one of the famous signs, the this way, that way, Wonderland sign. But you can choose whatever you want to. You might want to do characters, you might want to choose different signs and do them in different colours. It's completely up to you, but you wanted to try and show an aspect of a scene. You could even choose a different scene from Alice in Wonderland if you want to. It doesn't have to be the tea party. Okay, so now I've drawn my first one and I've cut it out. I'm just drawing the neck shape on top, making sure that I'm not taking up too much space, and I'm just lightly sketching it in. Again, you can colour these in with felt pens, colour pencils, paints, whatever you have at home. Okay, and they don't need to be too neat. You're just drawing out the rough shape for now. You can make it more interesting and detailed once you're ready to add colour. Okay, so sketching out lightly as you can see, and then drawing in the finer details a little bit darker. And then to cut it out, what I find helps is you want to use the blade nearest the middle of the scissors. That's where it's going to be sharpest, and it'll help you to manoeuvre the scissors round, say, a curved shape a lot more easily. And you also want to try and just cut away the big sections that you don't need. If you get them out of your way, then that's really going to help you to get into those tight corners afterwards. Okay, so keep manoeuvring the scissors round. And then on to our third one in a second. I'm just sorting out one of the corners. Okay, so our third one, the colourful mushroom for when Alice meets the caterpillar. So again, just sketching that in really lightly. Okay, you could add as many layers to this as you want to. Obviously, if you're going to add more layers, as I'll show you how to do so in a second, it might be that you don't want to increase the size of your set with each stage too much. You might just want to do smaller increments so that you can fit more layers in. Okay, so again I'm just cutting out, and what I've done is I've done a guide just so I know where exactly I need to cut down to. So it's still going to support the earlier stages of the set design to make it stand up, but it's also not going to show any bits of background that I don't want. Okay, if you didn't want to cut these out, the alternative bit could be you could kind of shade in the background of the back one. You will need to do some cutting to make sure that you can see the layer behind, but you don't necessarily have to cut as fine a detail as I've done. You can almost maybe just do it in squares, and then on each kind of square section there's a drawing. It's completely up to you. So I'm just repeating the process from earlier to make another concertina, just to attach it to the back. So that's going to give it some extra strength and help it to stand up, and it also means that if I wanted to add extra layers, then I could have. Okay, so just line up the sections as before. Okay, so I've got space for one more layer with my current design, but if you wanted to, you could probably fit 2 more in that. So I could have one where it says Wonderland, then another layer where it says This Way with some different aspects on it. Okay, so I'm just sketching that out now and just making sure it links to my previous design. You might want to do some doodles just to practice before you do your staggered set design. It's completely up to you. Remember, this is your work. You do what you want to. Okay, so again I've just got a guide for cutting out. It does get more fiddly the more layers you've got, so just make sure you're manoeuvring the paper out of your way. Cutting away any big bits that you don't need as you go along is going to help you get a nicer shape. And remember to cut using the middle part of your scissors as much as possible, because that's going to be the sharpest bit. Okay, so notice how I keep manoeuvring my scissors into lots of the little gaps. You want to keep wiggling them round to get them to work really well for you. So cutting out all those little fine details. You don't have to necessarily always cut in straight lines. You keep snipping at the different stages until you get the shape that you want. Okay, once you've done all of the cutting, like I said, you can colour it in however you want to. You might just want to do kind of a pencil shading, you could do colour, it's completely up to you. But don't forget to submit your final designs via Teams for us to see. So one way you could expand the task if you want to is you could either make multiple concertina sets like shown in the picture, but you could also set them out so you've got different layers of a set, so you could play around with the foreground, middle ground and background element. If you wanted to recreate your design from last time or create a new one, you could have flooring and characters. This is something else you might want to try if you really enjoyed the task.